What have I done? Who have I become? These are the haunting questions that keep you up at night. We're talking about memories that don't just fade. They strip you down, bone by bone, until you're forced to face the raw truth of who you really are. It hit her like a freight train, losing her mother on her own 65th birthday, exactly 7 years back. Now everyone recognises her as the sweet, devoted mother from Forrest Gump. But Sally Field has aged with a grace that puts the rest of Tinseltown to shame. Fast forward to the present day in 2026, and at 79 going on 80, she is still widely regarded as one of the most dynamic and versatile performers to ever step in front of a camera. On the surface, she radiates that warm, charming energy we all adore, but behind that Hollywood smile lies a romantic history that nobody talks about. There is a hidden side to Sally that the tabloids missed. We are peeling back the layers on the chapters of her life where she didn't just stumble, she crashed. This is the story of heartbreaks that would have shattered a lesser woman and the resilience it took to survive them. So why is America absolutely obsessed with Sally Field? It's simple. She is a chameleon. She is one of those rare breeds of talent who can slide into the skin of a character so completely that you forget you're watching a movie star. 1 minute she is a fierce advocate screaming for justice in a factory, and the next she is a quirky, lovable eccentric, making you laugh until your sides hurt. She defies categorization. Her acting doesn't feel like a performance. It feels like real life captured on film. It is as if she possesses a secret emotional toolkit, allowing her to shift gears from tragedy to comedy without breaking a sweat. She makes the most grueling, emotionally draining roles look like a casual walk in the park. And if you need proof, just take a glance at her trophy case. That shelf is groaning under the weight of gold statues that scream legend. From her career-defining explosion in Norma Rae to the tear-jerking vulnerability she showed the world in Places in the Heart. Every single accolade is a testament to her refusal to phone it in. She gives 100% every single time. It is blindingly obvious that her work strikes a chord not just with the popcorn-eating public, but with the cynical industry insiders too. She is living proof that grit and talent actually do pay dividends in the end. But here is the kicker off camera. Sally Field is the antithesis of a diva. She is as grounded and real as they come, never one to hide behind a team of publicists or a manufactured persona. She spills the tea on her own life, owning her failures and celebrating her wins with a refreshing lack of filter. This no-nonsense vibe makes her impossibly relatable. Watching her interviews feels less like listening to a celebrity and more like grabbing a coffee with your wisest girlfriend who has seen it all and lived to tell the tale. That approachability is her secret weapon. She kicked things off in television sitcoms before conquering the beast that is feature films, and her trajectory is a masterclass on survival. In a business that loves to chew women up and spit them out, Sally has remained an essential player. She has effortlessly surfed through decades of changing trends, jumping between genres and mediums, tweaking her style to stay fresh while never losing that signature soulfulness that defines her. Her marathon of a career serves as a powerful lesson. If you want to last in this town, you have to evolve or you will go extinct. And Sally, she is still here. But we can't ignore one of her best traits, her wicked sense of humour. When the director yells, "Cut," she isn't retreating to a trailer, she is cracking jokes. She is famous for her sharp tongue and playful banter. Do you recall that viral 37-second clip from a podcast where she dropped a one-liner that had the internet losing its mind? It is moments like those that remind us she doesn't take her fame too seriously. She is not just a cinematic heavy hitter, she is genuinely a blast to be around. Beyond the laughs, Sally Field has been a warrior against Hollywood stereotypes since day one. She didn't just accept the status quo, she smashed it. You want to talk about female empowerment? Back when women were expected to be eye candy or damsels in distress, Sally refused to play the game. She hunted down roles that portrayed women as complex, messy strong, and fiercely independent. Her bold choices took a sledgehammer to the glass ceiling. Kicking open doors for the Jennifer Lawrences and Emma Stones of the world, she is a trailblazer in the truest, most badass sense of the word. Of course, like any screenplay worth reading, Sally's life has had plenty of plot twists. She has stared down personal nightmares and professional droughts, always bouncing back with a ferocity that is nothing short of inspiring. That resilience isn't just a footnote in her biography. It is the headline. She proves that a setback is really just a setup for a major comeback if you have the guts to keep going. Even now in 2026, after decades under the glare of the spotlight, Sally Field is still leaving fingerprints on cinema history and inspiring a whole new crop of actors who want to be just like her. But her influence is bigger than her IMDb page. She has evolved into a cultural symbol of raw talent, brutal honesty, and an independence that can't be bought. In a world obsessed with fleeting TikTok trends, her legacy is solid rock. She stands tall as a beacon of what it means to be a genuine icon. Throughout the chaos, Sally has always marched to the beat of her own drum, somehow managing to juggle being a box office titan with being a devoted hands-on mum. She showed the world that you don't have to choose between a career and a family. You can have the whole pie if you are willing to fight for it. Her independent spirit colours every move she makes, serving as a constant reminder that carving out your own unique path is the only way to live a life that actually feels fulfilling when the curtains close. Over the years, Sally has breathed life into some truly unforgettable souls. Whether she is playing a steel-spined heroine or a charmingly neurotics oddball, she leaves a scar in the best way possible. It isn't about the script or the wardrobe. It is about the way she injects real, palpable emotion into her characters, ensuring they stick to your ribs. Long after you've left the theatre, these are people you feel like you know. And when you start discussing Sally Field's greatest hits, you absolutely have to talk about Norma Rae. That role wasn't just a gig, it was a revolution captured on 35mm film. It was a declaration of war against injustice, fueled by grit, sweat, and the kind of raw power that cemented her status as Hollywood royalty. Norma Rae is the underdog story to end all underdog stories. Imagine a regular working-class woman in a dusty mill town, grinding through long shifts and terrible conditions. Most people would keep their heads down, but not Norma. She stands up on a table holding a sign that says union, rallying her co-workers and going to war with the bosses, even when the whole world is betting against her. When you are going up against massive entrenched corporate interests, that kind of fearless in-your-face spirit is exactly what resonates with the masses. It hits home for anyone who has ever felt silenced and decided it was finally time to scream. What really cements Sally Field's performance as the stuff of legend is the gritty, unfiltered authenticity she brings to Norma Rae. There is absolutely zero Hollywood gloss or sugarcoating here. You watch her and you do not see an actress. You see a woman who feels like she could clock out of the factory and walk straight into your local grocery store. Field did not just act. She ripped her heart out and left it on the screen, pouring every ounce of her soul into a character that demanded nothing less than total emotional nakedness. She ensured that every exhausted frown, every sharp glance of defiance, and those quiet, crushing moments of self-doubt were portrayed with a rawness that felt painfully, beautifully human. The result was pure dynamite, turning Norma Rae into an enduring global symbol of empowerment and blue-collar resilience that remains just as potent in 2026 as it was back then. Another factor that catapults this role into the stratosphere is the impeccable timing. The movie dropped right when the battle for workers' rights was reaching a fever pitch, striking a nerve with millions of Americans. Sally Field's electric performance tapped directly into that volatile energy, acting as a catalyst that fueled necessary heated conversations about workplace dignity and corporate fairness. This was not just another gig or a line on a resume. It was a full-throated rallying cry for justice that left a massive, indelible mark on our cultural landscape. Plus, let's be honest, that image of Norma Rae standing on the factory table holding up the union sign with that fierce, unwavering look has become one of cinema's most instantly recognisable snapshots. What makes it truly cool, though, is that Norma Rae is not some polished superheroine. She is messy, she is complicated, and she is beautifully flawed, just like the rest of us. That is the definition of relatable, right? She trips up, she loses her cool, and she questions her own backbone. But through all the chaos, she refuses to throw in the towel. This deeply human, warts and all portrayal is a huge reason why the character cuts through the noise and feels so genuine to audiences spanning multiple generations. Sally Field's uncanny ability to walk that tightrope between steel-spine toughness and fragile vulnerability is exactly why Norma Rae stands tall as the crowning jewel in her iconic career. Ultimately, Sally Field's turn as Norma Rae achieved icon status because it transcended the craft of acting entirely. It morphed into a powerful socio-political statement about standing your ground, no matter the personal cost, blending raw emotion with concrete action and fierce determination with deep compassion. It remains a vital cultural touchstone for anyone who has ever needed to dig deep and find that little extra spark of courage to fight the power. So if you ever find yourself needing a serious reminder of what it looks like to fight for what is fair, just picture Norma Rae on that table and you will understand why she shines as a beacon of strength. Fast forward to life right now at 79, and Sally Field is still making waves recently, getting incredibly candid about marriage and the single life on the Wiser Than Me podcast with Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Back when she chatted at 77, she dropped a hilarious bombshell joking that tying the knot again would require finding a man she could tolerate for longer than a mere 37 seconds. And let's be real, given the dating pool these days, that is a pretty steep mountain to climb. She freely admitted that picking the right partner has never been a walk in the park, looking back on her past marriages to Steve Craig and Alan Greisman, with a mix of wisdom and honesty. Both of those unions ended in divorce. And then there was that legendary high-octane romance with Burt Reynolds, which fizzled out despite his decades of later pining and romantic musings. Her true journey toward fierce independence really kicked into high gear the moment she stepped into the role of a mother. That protective instinct surged, especially while raising her eldest son, Peter, who has since grown up to become a wildly successful screenwriter in his own right. Taking care of her boys taught her the non-negotiable importance of standing on her own 2 feet, a hard-earned lesson that has clearly sculpted her modern views on love and self-reliance. Sure, her past stories are sprinkled with hints of Hollywood romance, but these days she is totally unapologetically content with her absolute freedom. This means that any guy hoping to stick around for the long haul has got to be truly exceptional. We are talking unicorn status here. Even though her love life has seen its fair share of wild twists, sharp turns, and a few drastically miscast characters, there is no denying that Sally Field remains the undisputed leading lady of her own life story. During that revealing podcast session at 77, she spilled the tea on her current dating preferences, making it crystal clear that anyone looking to get close would have to earn way more than a fleeting 37-second window of tolerance. As she famously put it, everything hinges on the impossible task of meeting someone she would actually want to spend more than 37 seconds with. She quipped with that signature charm setting a new hyper-specific gold standard for romance. Over the decades, her adventures in the love department have seen dizzying highs and crushing lows. From walking down the aisle twice to sharing sizzling screen time and magazine covers with the late great Burt Reynolds. She is incredibly open about the brutal challenges of finding a partner who truly understands her unique cocktail of fierce independence and unwavering dedication. This is especially true when it comes to her devotion to her children, who stand tall as her single proudest achievement in a life full of trophies. And while Reynolds may have spent his later years calling her the love of his life, Sally's narrative is all about finding inner strength, bouncing back from heartbreak, and enjoying life strictly on her own terms. No wedding vows or rings required, but since we are on the subject of Hollywood legends, let's talk about Sally and Burt. In that bronze-tinted golden age of 70s, Hollywood very few love stories captured the public's wild imagination, quite like the whirlwind saga of Sally Field and Burt Reynolds. Their romance felt like it was ripped straight from a blockbuster movie script, overflowing with southern charm, a healthy dose of mischief, and an on-screen spark so intense it spilled messily into real life. The very first time these two superstars crossed paths, the buzz was instantaneous and electric, as both were absolute titans dominating the film world at the time. And when they finally teamed up, just think back to that undeniable, sizzling chemistry in Smokey and the Bandit. It was blatantly obvious that something special was brewing when the cameras stopped rolling. Fans and the voracious media could not help but watch their every move, obsessively piecing together hints of a romance that was as unpredictable as it was thrilling to watch unfold. Burt Reynolds was famously, unapologetically head over heels, often spending his twilight years reminiscing about Sally as the one true love of his life who got away. His playful, moustache-twirling, larger-than-life persona added endless fuel to the fire, generating headlines and keeping the public eagerly glued to every juicy detail of their encounters. Meanwhile, Sally's down-to-earth nature provided the grounding force that made their dynamic so fascinating to watch. Her down-to-earth, no-nonsense vibe meant she looked at the relationship with a bizarre cocktail of cosy warmth and cold, hard pragmatism. It serves as a stark reminder that even the biggest Hollywood heartthrobs have their own twisted, unique perspective on what love actually looks like. But let's be real, just like any legendary romance, theirs was definitely not a smooth ride without some serious potholes. When the cameras stopped rolling and they were behind the scenes, that intense, fiery passion often crashed hard into the wall of reality. Sally has offered some brutally honest reflections over the years, revealing that while the physical chemistry was absolutely off the charts, the actual relationship wasn't always the fulfilling fairy tale you might expect from a blockbuster movie love story. Honestly, it was a classic case of two massive stars colliding in a chaotic orbit that was as brilliant and blinding as it was incredibly complicated to navigate. Looking at it today, the love saga of Sally Field and Burt Reynolds reads like a script full of high-energy flirtation, tear-jerking declarations, and the kind of raw, genuine connection that makes you believe in a little bit of movie magic even long after the final credits have rolled and the lights come up. Now, we know a lot of fans are absolutely obsessed with wanting that kind of situation to play out in real life, but what is the real tea on Sally and Cole but when folks start whispering and bringing up the so-called truth about Sally Field and Stephen Colbert? It is crucial that we set the record straight right now. There is absolutely no hidden scandal. And definitely no secret steamy romance between these two industry legends. It is simply a delightful meeting of two brilliant minds and styles that creates pure television gold. Sally Field is an absolute icon of classic Hollywood royalty, and she has spent decades mesmerising audiences with her trademark authenticity and emotional depth. Over the years, she has become famous not just for her incredible work on the big screen, but for being refreshingly, almost shockingly real during her interviews. When she is up on that stage, she is all about raw, honest storytelling and sharing the rollercoaster highs and lows of a life well lived. That is exactly the vibe that you witness the moment she steps into a conversation with a heavyweight like Stephen Colbert. Stephen, on the other hand, is the undisputed king of witty banter and sharp, clever observations. His background in biting satire and his unique ability to weave humour with deeply insightful commentary has made him an absolute staple of late-night TV. So when Colbert gets a rare chance to chat with a legendary guest like Sally Field, the conversation naturally evolves into this playful intellectual dance of humour and candour. It is truly one of those rare electric moments when two very different but equally passionate voices come together, with each one bringing their own distinct flavour to the discussion. Now, of course, some people online love to speculate wildly or overanalyze every single word from such interviews, wondering if there is something more going on than meets the eye. But here is the truth. What you are getting is simply the magic of a genuine, unfiltered conversation. Sally Field's earthy, heartfelt storytelling style perfectly meshes with Stephen Colbert's smart, quick-witted commentary to create a dialogue that feels totally spontaneous and completely unscripted. There is no hidden agenda, No secret affair, just two talented folks doing what they do best, entertaining the hell out of us and engaging with their audience. It is also a fantastic reminder of just how much fun it is when someone with such a storied career in Hollywood sits down with a talk show host who is famous for making even the most serious topics feel light, breezy and approachable. Whether they are fondly reminiscing about the crazy, chaotic days of old film sets or laughing over life's unpredictable twists and turns, their exchange feels like a massive celebration of two completely different eras of entertainment coming together in harmony. At its core, the connection between Sally Field and Stephen Colbert is built entirely on respect and mutual admiration. Both of them have had their share of incredible career-defining moments, and when they chat, it is a meeting of vast experience and sharp humour. Now let's pivot to one that is authentic, where the love story really happened. Let's talk about Sally and Steve. Sally Field's love story with Steve Craig is one of those chapters in her life that feels way more like an offbeat indie film than a glossy Hollywood romance. It wasn't all glitz, glam and red carpets, but it was real, messy and packed with the kind of genuine raw emotion that makes you stop and really think about how incredibly complicated love can be. When Sally and Steve first connected, there was an undeniable magnetic spark between them. They were both navigating life in the blinding spotlight, trying desperately to balance personal dreams with the crushing demands of their high-profile careers. In those early days, it honestly felt like they had found someone who truly understood the immense pressures of fame and the unique challenges of living your life in the public eye. There was a deep comfort in that shared experience, a sense of, hey, we are in this crazy, chaotic world together. But as it often goes in Tinseltown, the initial magic eventually met the harsh reality of everyday life. The very qualities that drew them together in the first place sometimes led to serious friction and the heavy weight of expectations. Both personal and professional started to take its toll on them. Their relationship, much like many chapters in Sally's life, was a complex mix of intense passion and difficult challenges where the intensity of their feelings didn't always translate into long-lasting domestic harmony. Instead, it became painfully clear that even genuine love isn't always enough to overcome the massive hurdles that life throws at you. Looking back on it now, the time Sally spent with Steve Craig wasn't wasted time at all. It was a vital part of her journey toward understanding what she truly needed in a partner. That experience, filled with both dizzying highs and crushing lows, contributed significantly to her growing sense of self-reliance and fierce independence. It was a hard-learned lesson in knowing that sometimes the best way to move forward is to learn from the past rather than trying to recreate it. While Sally Field and Steve Craig's relationship didn't have the perfect fairy tale ending that some fans might have hoped for, it remains a significant, pivotal chapter in her life story. It is a stark reminder that love can be just as unpredictable, flawed, and imperfect as life itself. It really comes down to the fact that every single experience, no matter how brutal or testing, adds a new layer of complexity to our souls. For a legend like Sally Field, navigating that rough terrain was absolutely essential in forging the steel backbone of the fierce, independent icon we celebrate in 2026. Now let us dive a little deeper into the saga of Sally and Alan. While Sally Field's romance with producer Alan Greisman might not have splashed across the tabloids with the same ferocity as her other high-profile flings, do not let that fool you. This was a genuine, gritty love story standing on its own 2 feet separate from the gossip columns. Back in the days when Sally and Alan were an item, the deep connection they shared was far less about the flashbulbs and dramatic public declarations you see scripted in Tinseltown blockbusters. Instead, their bond was anchored in quiet, stolen moments and a profound, silent understanding that speaks volumes more than any red carpet appearance. Their union possessed a unique rhythm, all its own, blending domestic warmth with a healthy dose of everyday humour. Of course, it also came with the inevitable friction that sparks when two powerful, strong-willed personalities attempt to steer the ship of life in the same direction, even though they manage to stay out of the blinding glare of the paparazzi spotlight. Most of the time, their years together were packed with intensity. Their time as a couple was filled with those subtle, heavy interactions that actually define what a marriage is behind closed doors. What makes this chapter so fascinating is that much like the rest of Sally's chaotic life, this wasn't a fairy tale search for flawlessness. Rather, it was a raw exploration of the dizzying peaks and crushing valleys of romance, a constant struggle to figure out how to merge lives without losing your own identity in the process. Alan Greisman might not carry the household name recognition of some of Sally's more famous ex-lovers, but make no mistake, his fingerprint on her heart and career was undeniable. He played a pivotal role in her evolution. He was part of her journey toward the hard-learned truth that true love is rarely a walk in the park, yet every entanglement clarifies exactly what you are hunting for in this life. Naturally, there were hurdles to clear. Like any couple trying to make it work in Hollywood, they faced their fair share of bitter disagreements and awkward growing pains. Through the smoke and fire, however, Sally grasped a crucial truth. Sometimes the most significant relationships are the ones that force you to evolve, even if they are not destined to last until the end of time. The emotional rollercoaster ride with Alan contributed heavily to building the resilient, self-sufficient powerhouse we admire today. A woman who prizes brutal honesty and the wisdom gained from every closed chapter. You see, Sally's era with Alan was never solely about the romance. It was a deep dive investigation into her own psyche. In many ways, their marriage served as a vital stepping stone. It gave her a chance to see what worked, what failed, and ultimately what she required to flourish as both a human being and a professional legend. The saga of Sally Field and Alan Greisman may not be the juiciest gossip item in the history of the Hollywood Hills, but it stands as a testament to reality. It proves that every connection, no matter how fleeting or fraught with difficulty, brings something priceless to the table. I bet you picked up a few new details about Sally's hidden life, didn't you? For more deep dives and exclusive stories about your favourite stars, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now to stay in the loop. Looking back, you can clearly see how their relationship served as a vital stepping stone in her incredible journey. It gave her the space to analyse what worked, what failed, and ultimately uncover exactly what she required to truly flourish both in her private life and her soaring career. While the romance shared by Sally Field and Alan Greisman may not go down as the most explosive headline in the history of Hollywood lore, it remains a beautiful proof that every single relationship, no matter how short-lived or fleeting it might seem, carries a hidden gem of wisdom worth keeping. We hope you discovered a new side to Sally today. To catch more celebrity stories just like this one, go ahead and smash that subscribe button so you never miss out on the latest updates.